Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 835. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Kristen Edmondson.
This episode of the podcast, we have part 3 of our Remembrance of the Daleks classic series commentary at the end of this. And probably at least an hour of news and banter is my guess. Focusing on the news of the day, which is not news yet, but...
That's a very loose term for some of what's on the agenda.
I suppose so. Plus, also some Gallifrey One stuff, even though Warren and Chris won't be there. I will be there. There will be a Radio Free Skaro live show. We'll talk about that later on. But the thing that refuses to go away is the David Tennant returning to Doctor Who thing. And... Here's the deal. We ranted about this last week, thinking it was sort of
I did at length,
ridiculous and silly and everything else. Well, here's the thing, folks. I'm pretty sure it's true. Just saying. I'm not going to reveal my sources on this, but they are earlier this week, sort of received word that seems to be true. Doctor Who, David Tennant as a 14th Doctor, not the Return of the 10th, a 14th Doctor for a few episodes potentially. So basically, the rumor that the Plymouth Herald, which has been putting out, they also put a thing out about Catherine Tate. That also might very much be true. Possibly not as Donna Noble, but maybe as someone else. Very much looks like it's going to happen. David Tennant, for a few episodes, probably, will be the 14th Doctor before he hands over to a 15th Doctor. I believe last week I kind of said how difficult it would be logistically, and just in introducing a new Doctor at a time when this show is supposedly celebrating its own past, and then only for one episode, and then having to wait several months for a new proper series. So I oddly enough, I think this kind of makes sense a little bit. But obviously you two have different opinions on this.
Chris, I read it at length. Do you want to rant this time?
I'm gonna kind of paraphrase something I read on ScreenRant.com.
All right.
Oh God.
Whoa. Okay.
In a positive way.
Why? No. We don't need to make allies of these people.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Well, we don't. But
setup
the person who wrote the article I'm thinking of put it in a good way that Doctor Who should not be nostalgic. It needs to be forward looking and just, move on, whatever. And even how back in 2005 when the show came back, there was a massive element of the nostalgia that was not there in order to establish the show, with new fans. And I kind of agree with that. And it always forward, never backward, and always twirling. That's is it true? I mean, it could be true.
We don't know for a fact that it's true. Like I'll take your word for it, Stephen. But until the BBC officially says this is the case, it ain't the case. But I just think it shows a shattering lack of imagination. Like, okay, you're one of RTD. You're one of the premier makers of television in Britain. Surely you can do better than this. Then just go right back to the well you went with before. And I have nothing against Tennant or the 10th Doctor or 10th. None of that. He's fine. Will I watch it? Yeah, of course I will, out of loyalty, if nothing else. And he'll probably be good in it. I just think it's a lazy idea, frankly. It's just lazy and unimaginative. And you could do anything. Why do this?
I appreciate that. With the return of RTD and Phil Collinson and Julie Gardner and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I can see where this kind of thing could come from. I mean... Yeah, it's been a long time, and nobody expected RTD to come back until he was announced. And I'm kind of the same about Tennant. Like, I wouldn't expect him to come back unless there's an announcement. But he did his stint. He moved on. If he comes back for a few episodes to kind of be a transition, I guess that's not as bad as another 4 years or whatever. Because it's a grueling schedule. Everyone involved always says that.
Yep.
He's 50 now, isn't he? Something like that.
He's going to be 50,
in that neighborhood. Yeah,
51 in April. So yeah,
51 in April. So he's not getting any younger. So I'm sure he's not that keen on. Capaldi was 5-ish.
Yeah, about that
when he started, and it's. I mean, yeah. I know he's had problems.
Here's a way around this, which they're apparently not doing. Like, if you had it, the 60th anniversary is told from the point of view of, let's say, Donna and the 10th Doctor, and they introduce a whole bunch of other people within that, and they make an anniversary special out of it. Great, wonderful. I don't have a problem with that but making him an entirely new Doctor which we won't really have much time to really get to know anyway.
Exactly.
So
like, why
that too.
bother?
Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Why bother when it's going to be somebody
doesn't make any sense.
No.
Now, having said that, you had John Hurt as the War Doctor, and with 20 minutes to work with, you have this iconic. But that's John Hurt. That's not going to happen again. So, and David Tennant's a fine actor. Don't get me wrong. Like, none of this is a slag on him. I just think it just shows a complete. It's like everything you've. And by the way, Stephen, you're on notice here. You can never slag off Star Wars or Star Trek again after this, because if you go on about what a great idea this is, when it's exactly the same thing that Star Wars and Star Trek have done, and worse, frankly, in terms of its bold-faced audacity of fan service, then. Come on, like Star Trek. If you get mad at Discovery, and you kind of should, for starting right before where classic Star Trek started, and then they pull this nonsense on Doctor Who. What's the difference? It's the same lazy crap, is what it is.
It kind of like on the face of it, we haven't seen how this is going to play. David Tennant as a 14th Doctor, not just a rehash of the 10th, might be different. I'm intrigued to see how David.
But you barely get the 14th Doctor, so what's the point?
I know, but what I'm kind of hoping is it's not like a Force Awakens situation where it's like, well, the prequels were crap and everyone sort of feels bad about Star Wars now, so let's sort of remind everyone of the greatest hits, so to speak, which is kind of, I love Force Awakens, but I do admit there are some pretty direct similarities to the first Star Wars film.
The very direct similarities.
And so I'm hoping that that's not like what RTD was thinking the whole time. Basically, anything Doctor Who related that came after him is basically whatever. Let's get back to what I was doing.
That's one of my fears. Yeah, that's one of my fears.
But what it also does, and this, what I think it might do is it also kind of clears the decks a little bit to explore different Doctor's eras, perhaps, when, the new Doctor, the 15th Doctor, apparently, is sort of not on the air. Like, once that person, whoever they are, finishes their series, we're not waiting another, 12 to 18 months for another Doctor Who series. Maybe they actually say, you know what, Paul McGann, let's do a Time War series, 8 episodes, boom. Kind of like the Book of Boba Fett, except
that's
better.
all complete extrapolation on your part.
It is a little bit, but
and also
once you start sort of playing around with the timeline a little bit, it kind of I think you can sort of get away with more, because I've always sort of thought like, well, how it's tricky when you're doing Doctor Who spin-off series, because they've always sort of like been deferential to the main show, and I think it's kind of a slap in the face to whoever the current Doctor is to sort of go, here's another Doctor, and it might be as popular as you or more so, and also like try to like basically be the face of the franchise, and yet also like one of like 3 Doctors Who at the same time. But maybe this is a way to sort of like have your cake and eat it too. I don't know what that means, but anyway, Chris,
I think you're giving them a little too much credit here. I think that what we're seeing on its face is what's happening. They're going back to the well and not really trying anything new, and that's colossally disappointing to me. Especially after whatever you think of Chibnall's era, he did try a bunch of new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tennant being involved with the 60th, I mean, he was there for Day of the Doctor, so if he comes back...
And he was great in it.
And if he comes back for that type of a thing...
No comment from Chris. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
He was fine. I don't like him as a Doctor.
I know.
I was watching sidebar.
Yeah, we derailed you, Chris. I'm sorry.
Watched episode 3 of Around the World in 80 Days, which guest stars Lindsay Duncan.
Oh,
and the whole time I was thinking, is her character gonna kill herself in the end like last time she worked with Tennant?
Right.
Anyway, the Tennant coming back for something with the 60th anniversary, it would not be unexpected, and
fine.
It'd be fine, depending on how it goes. But I mean, Tennant coming back as the 14th Doctor for a couple episodes where we're not going to be able to get to know them, like Paul McGann's Doctor in the TV movie, for example. Obviously, Big Finish kind of picked up the slack on that one and fleshed out his Doctor a lot more than TV stuff ever did. And maybe that would happen with this alleged 14th Doctor. But if they brought back Tennant and Tate and did a little something for, or like McGann, like you say, for a limited run series or something, like, Disney Plus has definitely set the stage for that with Mandalorian and the
Book of
Bad Batch and Book of Boba Fett and all this, et cetera, et cetera. So it's now not an unexpected thing in the world, but the flip side is going to be Disney's got how much money to throw at those series that the BBC is not going to have?
Sony might.
Won't have that much money. They won't have Disney money.
No, they won't have Disney money, but they, I mean, Sony is bought in. I mean, there is obviously an interest in growing the brand, so to speak.
Maybe this is a Sony executive's idea, not RTD's. Some high mucky muck with all the money is like, no, we need somebody people know. David Tennant.
It does kind of feel like
my now grown child loved him.
Yeah, it just kind of feel like like when Philip Siegel brought Doctor Who back in '96. They go, well, is there a way we could bring Tom Baker and his scarf back and stuff like that? I only watched Doctor Who in the 1980s, but this feels like a good idea. What do you think?
Could you please front load this with a bunch of useless data that has nothing to do with the actual story? That'd be great. Thanks.
I would say that kind of thing is never off the table.
No, it isn't.
Not when it comes to people funding things. No.
I don't know. It just seems like, and also if you're trying to get the average viewer on board, which RTD was very, very good at.
Yep.
Why overcomplicate it like this?
But
this isn't the 10th Doctor.
All the baggage.
That too.
He left the baggage at the door, which is
now you
why
have to explain all this
to
stuff
people.
to people, which I'm confused by it, frankly, and I know all this not. And also, even if, or probably if it is, let's say it is true, it still smells of something basted in the fires of fan forums. It really does. So that in of itself is a bad sign.
You could theoretically bring back Tennant as a 14th Doctor and give nothing about backstory, give say nothing at all about the fact that he was the 10th Doctor, or that face was the 10th Doctor's as well.
So it's either confusing or he's actually playing off the fact he's a 10th Doctor. Either way, it kind of sucks, frankly.
I mean, I don't know. If this happens to be true, like I say, if it's Tennant and Tate coming back for something to do with the 60th, okay, fine. I mean, that's setting aside the whole Donna memory thing that happened at the end of Series 4, but you could still have them pulled out of, 5 Doctor style, pull them out of their time stream.
I'd be happy to see that.
Yeah, before Donna lost her memory.
Making him the 14th, and it's just a dumb idea, frankly. It's just a dumb idea. I couldn't put it any more plainly than that.
Well, we'll see what happens. Should this be the actual thing that's happening, which I'm pretty sure it is, and when it'll be announced, I'm curious about that. The curious thing.
It happening is not the same thing as him being the 14th. Like, Tennant coming back is not the same thing as him being the 14th Doctor. So whatever you may have heard for scuttlebutt, I mean, A, always take it with a grain of salt anyway, but B, it could be something dramatically different but still the same base foundation.
Also, if you want to have a bridging Doctor, the Fugitive Doctor is right there and not being used for anything. So unless RTD wants to do, well, no, he doesn't though. I was gonna say, unless RTD wants to do something like completely separate the Whittaker Chibnall era from whatever, but he's already gone on record saying, or I think is it rumor or is it him going on record? I can't remember because everything muddles together about continuing Timeless Child stuff.
I don't remember if he said anything.
I think it's rumor. I think it's more rumor.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I can't see, especially somebody like RTD. I can't see him dismissing a whole era of
God, no.
Doctor Who.
No, I don't think,
2 eras.
No.
If you count Moffat.
No, I don't know. I do.
Okay. All
right.
So there's multiple articles I've read, including the Radio Times one that's in the show notes, talking about how if something like this happens with Tennant as the 14th Doctor, it's all going to be because of Stephen Moffat and the curator in Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Which,
no.
Which I think is passing the buck a little bit. But.
It is a little bit, but that is exactly, you'll find yourself revisiting the old, some of the old favorites once in a while, which is how they got around.
I look forward to being on a panel and being told this at some point.
Oh. I find it intriguing for David Tennant. I mean, what an intrigue, maybe he just sort of thought, tell you what, David Tennant, what about 4 or 5 episodes, come back, be Doctor Who for a little bit. What do you say? He said, what the hell, sure. Maybe he enjoyed playing the character again for Big Finish. Maybe lockdown in the pandemic and having him basically, not able to leave his house. And so, sure, I'll do 3 seasons and a bunch of stuff for Big Finish. Like, you know what, this is kind of fun again. I enjoy playing Doctor Who. What the hell, let's do it.
He's not hurting for work.
No,
he's married to somebody who's an up and coming TV producer who seems to keep throwing him out the door to go work rather than sticking around at home or whatever.
Go out, play with your friends. Yeah,
yeah, kind of. And of course, him being the Doctor Who fanboy that he is, I could see him wanting to go back to do something.
Right. I think
this is not hostility towards David Tennant or even RTD. Well, maybe a little bit RTD, but not David Tennant. Whatever. You're an actor. You want to do this. You love the role. Great. But I just don't think it's a good idea for the show. I think it just smacks of not really having any new ideas. That's what it looks like, even if it isn't that.
Very true. But I think one of the big X factors that Stephen, you touched on this a short while ago. One of the biggest X factors that until stuff starts happening, we're not going to know how it plays out, is going to be stuff like Bad Wolf, the independence or greater independence of Doctor Who because of Bad Wolf, the Sony money invested, to buy whatever percentage of Bad Wolf.
Right.
All that kind of stuff is still a complete unknown, and as to how that's going to play into the show's control and production.
Yeah, it's a new era, and yet old at the same time.
It's a new old era.
What a weird time we live in.
It's like when George Bush II got voted in as president. You're like, oh, really? All right, okay.
Like Grover Cleveland. What do we call him?
Back here, are we?
He's the 43rd. No, what is Grover Cleveland? The 33rd.
He was non-consecutive. He was spanked. He spanked Grandpa Simpson on 2 non-consecutive occasions.
Yes, I do remember that. The interesting thing, Radio Times also put a thing up because Jamie Magnus Stone, who directed several of Jodie Whittaker's episodes, including her finale, coming up in October of this year to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the BBC, he let slip or talked about how they filmed Jodie Whittaker's last scene. Here's the thing, folks. Regeneration does not take place in the TARDIS. Remember, we were sort of speculating about that because, when we saw that the set, a few months ago now, the set was taken down, and we thought, well, wait a second, if they're going to do regeneration, how can they, what will they do? Will they put up one wall of the set, a photographic blow up maybe of Jodie Whittaker set in the background or CG or something
for the
like
back
that?
End. For the back end, yeah.
But apparently it takes place not in the TARDIS for the first time since Logopolis. Well, really, the TV movie, I guess. It takes place in a morgue. So that's intriguing. And honestly, welcome, because I'm kind of growing a little bit tired of regeneration conveniently blowing up the old set.
I mean, that's more of a new series tradition anyway. Well, I guess it did happen out of economic necessity in the old series, but it's more of a by choice thing in this one.
Oh, it's very much a by choice thing because it often coincides with changeover of showrunners,
Exactly. So the easiest way to finesse that is have it in the set you already have built, right?
Yeah, to blow up the TARDIS.
And always on hand. So
yeah.
You how canonical do you consider Night of the Doctor?
Oh, 100%. It's 100%
absolutely canonical.
So technically, that's the last time it happened.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Chronologically speaking, I suppose. So,
chronologically speaking, that was it. So if you
want to, the Fourth Doctor did just outside the TARDIS, and who else?
It's Professor McCoy in the morgue.
Right.
And actually,
this will be the 4th time. If
and Tom Baker, John Pertwee happened just outside the TARDIS, and
that's what I said. Yeah.
And Troughton into Pertwee, he comes out of the TARDIS as Pertwee, but
he's in that weird void.
He doesn't go into the TARDIS as Troughton.
Yeah, but then we see a whole season of Tales and stuff after that. So really,
who knows?
Season 6 speed, yeah. But modern series, certainly no precedent. But it looks like it's going to happen this time. So intriguing, very intriguing.
Fine, whatever. And another reason not to do it like on a location somewhere is because then it's easier to find out who the new. I guess you would know by then, but you could get a record of something that you probably should be keeping secret is the actual filming of the regeneration scene, even if you already know who the Doctor's going to be, because it'll be all over social media, and if it's outside, there's a way greater chance of that, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. Other than things like, was it Resolution, where they shot on that farm where there's like no roads for miles or something, so they could actually
shoot the Dalek.
Keep away from people.
I'm really intrigued.
The Doctor regenerates on an empty stretch of road. Weird.
Yeah. It would be really interesting if the regeneration was actually the cliffhanger of the moment of the whole thing, like the show ends with her like regenerating, crane
back
shot
into Tennant. I'd like to point out,
a drone shot sort of pulls away and like cue credits and like we don't see it until
without seeing who the next Doctor is.
Seeing the next Doctor.
That's when you bring in Tennant and you don't say if it's the 14th Doctor and drive us all completely crazy.
Drive you completely nuts. Yeah.
Well, no, you'd be driven nuts too.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit. I'm less annoyed by such that. There was a time when I was annoyed about people spelling it Dr.Who and even calling the character Doctor Who. Now I openly relish it.
See, but now you shifted your anger to Star Wars and Star Trek.
Oh yeah, that's true.
How much of that was Capaldi's doing though?
A lot of it was
for changing your mind. I mean,
it was a lot, but maybe I just sort of mellowed at the same time as Peter Capaldi. I feel like the non-mellow years of this podcast, aka the late Tennant era, are kind of reverberating a little bit amongst some of our opinions, perhaps. So we'll see. Well, maybe this stirs up the old anger pot again. That'll be fun.
But I'm also older and more tired after 2 years of pandemic and various other things. But just come on, do something new for God's sakes. I don't even have to like it; just do something new.
Right. We shall see. We shall see what happens in the days and weeks to come. You never know when these things are. I wasn't expecting a Russell T Davies returning to Doctor Who. Grenade dropped on our laps that one Friday morning in September, and you never know when news will be announced. But we'll report it here, not first. Well, maybe we reported this bit first, but let's talk about Gallifrey One. Gallifrey One taking place, holy crap, in like a couple weeks' time. My flight down has already been redirected because COVID has canceled the WestJet's flight, so that's good. Looking forward to this travel nightmare to get there, but it's Gallifrey One. It's worth it. The full program schedule has been released for the weekend that is, including the Radio Free Skaro live show, which still continues with me at the helm and Chip providing some Jeff Peterson robot commentary from the side stage as it keeps me to time through this radio. The
I demand a mohawk.
The aptly named Radio Free Skaro in Flux is the name of the live show with Sylvester McCoy, Matt Strevens, producer of this. Oh boy, we're gonna ask some questions to him.
Now I'm really regretting not going because I can't rake him over the coals.
Because all right. What are you doing bringing David Pennant back? I quit. I don't work there anymore. No, answer the question. Do not wait for the translation.
You beat me to it.
Jonathan Watson, John Davies, of course, been every monster. Jonathan Watson was Stenk, the Sontaran commander in Flux. Also, Derek Martin, 88 years old, was in Havoc and played some unit squaddies in the 60s and 70s, which is awesome, as well as Stephen Gallagher, writer of True Doctor Who stories, Warrior's Gate, and Terminus. So that's taking place about 11-ish, might be 11:15, on the Friday morning at Gallifrey One. 75-minute show. Be there, everyone. It'll be fun. We'll be safe. It'll be a grand time. For the old Radio Free Skaro live show, keeping it going. I should also say that I'm on other stuff. I didn't realize I was on this until the schedule came out, but I'm on an animation domination panel. I get to talk about Doctor Who animation. I get to hold people's feet to the fire with this BBC America thing too. We're gonna get all the information out this coming weekend.
You can profess your love of recons instead of animation.
Yeah, your work is terrible. I like watching non-moving images from 1968. Thank you very much.
I like photographs somebody slapped together in an MPEG, not MP4, MPEG file.
Yep.
From 1997.
I'm also doing 2 live commentaries. One of War of the Sontarans with Jonathan Watson, and then I'm so looking forward to this live commentary of an adventure in space and time with Matt Strevens and Sacha Dhawan, because he was in it.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
So that's I'm looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to getting there, but I'm looking forward to being there in a masked form. I was thinking about like what kind of straws can I get that I can just sort of like permanent. I was thinking like a Camelback, like have that you use to put water in, but
full of booze.
Just fill it with vodka and just sort of like sip on it.
Do like some Americans have done and just kind of slit in your mask for your straw.
That would be No, that'd be terrible. I'm pretty good at like raising my mask just enough to take a sip of water and then just dropping it back down again. So like I feel like my drinking, which I haven't done in 2 years since the last Gallifrey One, will not be affected that much by this. So it'll be a fun time. But we'll talk more about Gallifrey One in the weeks to come. Sorry you chaps can't be there, but 100% why. I understand why you wouldn't be. So.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gallifrey One. So there. That is the and also we should say that Eric Roberts is making. Speaking of the TV movie, Eric Roberts,
Los Angeles' own Eric Roberts.
I believe so. I believe some of the local guests, like Eric and his wife Eliza. Eliza was, of course, in the TV movie as well. Joe Osmond, who had small roles and appeared as Autons in series 1 and 2, and has also been in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. So, local actors who have been like all in these Star Wars shows, but also a little
from the parking lot in wherever that neighborhood that was.
Yeah, I know. I saw the drone shot of that.
I love people are indignant about it. I'm like, guys, it's set in an alien world. They didn't go to Tatooine to film it. Of course, they filmed it in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah,
why wouldn't they? Like, it's Hollywood. That's how movies are made. I hate to break it to you.
They didn't even film Return of the Jedi back in Tunisia, they just let's go to Yuma.
Come on, guys.
3:10 to Yuma, and they filmed it. And Sophia Miles is also arriving. They were waiting for confirmation for her, but she is going to be there as well. But alas, Bonnie Langford is unable to make it now. Bonnie Langford is going to be on the live show. It's going to be her and Sylvester McCoy in that first segment, first time on stage in decades together. But alas, yeah. What do you do? In flux, everyone. In flux.
Yeah.
The radio. No, it's the Radio Times or the BBC that determined this list. The greatest 20.
Oh, it was on. Well, the results were put out on the One Show
right
the other day.
Okay.
But it's all in celebration of the BBC's centenary and all that kind of stuff. So. It's quite official overall.
All right. Quite official. The official panel has decided what the best BBC shows, because of course we're in the 100th anniversary of the British Broadcasting Corporation, the top 20 shows in BBC history. Doctor Who, according to this esteemed panel, placed second behind only Fools and Horses,
which baffles me because I've seen it and it's basically the British equivalent of Three Stooges from what I can tell. I'm sure Brits will tell me otherwise, but
I don't understand. Yeah,
I'm sure they will as well.
I don't understand the love for Only Fools and Horses, but
no, I don't either. But I didn't grow up in England watching this stuff as a little kid, so who knows?
Yeah, like the funniest clip of all time. The funniest clip of all time is apparently David Jason falling through a door. That's the funniest thing the British like I've watched a lot of British things and I have laughed at a lot of stuff and I don't think I laughed that much at that. But I guess that's the
try explaining the raccoons to people. Like the Canadian cartoon.
You can't explain the raccoons.
Very uniquely of a time in Canada. I think this is that, basically. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Doctor Who doesn't deserve to be first because then what will we have to argue about? I mean, come on, we need something to complain about as Doctor Who fans. So don't put us first. There was a time I don't think Doctor Who fans don't need to work at that. They're pretty good at coming up with their own reasons to complain. Completely ginned up out of nowhere. Like if the BBC happened to be celebrating 100 years in 2013, Doctor Who would be there, I bet. But the fact that whatever. Blooms off that rose. You're no longer 50 years old. You're 58, so buh.
Yeah, you know what you do when you're that old? You go get a sports car, and David Tennant is a sports car. Midlife crisis officially hits Doctor
Who. In one of the recent issues of Doctor Who magazine, Tom Spilsbury did his regular article about like viewing figures and things like that, and how Doctor Who's viewing figures keep going down and down and down, but then so does everything else and things like that. But he made a very, very interesting point about how even things like the powerhouse soaps, so EastEnders, for example, rarely breaking top 30 or whatever anymore. And I look at this top 20 list of best BBC shows ever, and things like EastEnders, not there. I don't know where it would have found. I don't know where, if it came in the top 100 at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's things have definitely shifted. But I mean, like Gavin and Stacey at number 6. How?
That seems alarming to me. It's got James Corden in it.
Beating out Fawlty Towers and Blackadder and Dad's Army and there's
Killing Eve is interesting because that's more of a BBC America thing, I thought. But
but there it is, top 20.
I've never heard of Dinner Ladies. That's the first time I don't know what that show is. I think that one and maybe The Royal Family are the ones that I'm not at all familiar with.
I've heard the name The Royal Family, but that's all I know about it, really.
Sherlock's in there too. I like Sherlock. That was a good show.
I'm ignorant. Somehow that's the list's fault.
Kind of is.
I also find it interesting to see the kind of mix of new and old. So we have old stuff like, effectively old stuff like Doctor Who and Only Fools and Horses and Dad's Army and stuff like that. Right. And then newer stuff like Line of Duty at number 4, Call the Midwife.
Yeah, Line of Duty they're very popular, right? I mean,
they've been around for a handful of years and all that, so obviously they've had some time to get popular, etc. But it's kind of weird to see something like Line of Duty as the 4th best ever thing.
I know.
I mean, some of that is recency, I would assume.
That was my point.
Well, and part of it is like people voting on it. If you're like you'll see stuff on Twitter where somebody's like, "Here's the best movies of the past century," and it's all like stuff from 2000 onwards, and you're like, "Oh, you're 20, okay." So there's a bit of that probably in this list too, which is not anybody's fault. I mean, only know what you know, right? So,
and I haven't looked at it in a few years to know how much has changed, but 10 or so years ago, I was trying to go through the AFI top 100 movies. And there's, at least at the time, it might have changed, there was a huge number from the 30s and 40s.
Oh, yeah.
There's the problem in the other direction.
Yep.
Right? Where nobody's adding anything new when there's probably plenty of deserving stuff to be in there.
Yeah, but we can't possibly take like Casablanca off there. Oh, we can't take this old movie off there. Oh, this old movie started this first. Yeah. This is the first movie that had an edit in it. We have to include that. Okay, whatever,
Birth of a Nation, what a film.
Yeah,
probably is on there, actually.
Probably is.
It was a decade ago anyway,
Anyway, check out the full list and why, I don't know why Blake 7 and Star Cops aren't on there, but whatever. I didn't make the list.
I think I know why they're not on there.
The thick of it in the
nobody
office.
Nobody but us cares.
I think the thick of it in the office deserved to be in there. I thought they were pretty revolutionary in their time, but and really funny as well.
Or even anything from Gervais, so extras or...
Is Alan Partridge BBC?
Some of it is, yeah.
Okay.
Which I'm surprised.
Where's Nathan Barley? BBC. Where's Screenwipe? Damn it.
Yeah. Like I said, if Doctor Who finished first, we would have nothing to complain about, but now we do. So thank you, Radio Times. Thank you for that.
I guess.
Speaking of the Plymouth Herald, who are making news all over the place, they've mostly got their scoops from like Facebook groups and probably stumbled on on gold.
Making news is the term there.
Stumbled on gold when it came to the Tennant and possibly the Tate thing. There's another Facebook group about missing episodes, of which I'm a member, and apparently, I don't know what to think of this, but the person involved, the admin of it has sort of been like tracking some stuff down. And apparently, this person has found that there are many missing Doctor Who episodes that were sent to the Middle East and are still there. But whoever is in charge of them is unwilling to release them because of the potential financial impact or something. They want money for these sort of thing. I don't know what to think about this. I know that there were a lot of audition prints sent off to many different countries. In regard, like, hey, do you want to buy this? It's just absolutely not. It looks terrible. But we'll keep these film copies. Thank you very much, because they would be useless otherwise. And so these could be those. But yeah, I don't know what to think about this yet. It's a relatively new source of missing episode information. Although I understand most of mine comes from like Paul Vanessa's
Mumble Such,
Morris, obviously, yeah,
technically termed.
Well, and speaking of, Paul Vanessa's has said that there are definitely episodes, however many, up to 6 or something, whatever it was, in the hands of private collectors and such. So whatever, assuming there's any veracity to this Middle East thing, whatever they have could still be on top of whatever private hands currently have in the UK.
We'll see. I'm intrigued to see what the deal is. I'll follow this on the Facebook.
I want them to have the Daleks master plan, and I want Ian Levine to lead a crack squad, which I think is the same joke I made last time with the missing episode, frankly, now that I think of it.
Pretty much, yeah. Anyway, the article in the Plymouth Herald, maker of all news this week, is in the show notes at radiofreeskaro.com. Let's tell you what. Let's take some. Speaking of nostalgia and looking back at things, let's do that right now.
Time to wallow.
Time to wallow in the Timelash, our weekly look back at what happened this week in Doctor Who history. There is some missing episode stuff going with it, which we'll talk about. But first, shout out to a very tragic moment in history, January 30th, as this is recorded, as this is coming out, 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in Ireland. I don't know much about it, apart from the fact that U2 made a song about it, obviously, and it was a big thing in Irish-UK relations. But, of course, there was a movie made about it called Bloody Sunday by Paul Greengrass. I might watch that tonight. It is very good. Stars James Nesbitt and Doctor Who's Tim Pigott-Smith is in that as well.
There we go.
There's your
Doctor Who connection. And on that day in the UK, we got The Mind of Evil, episode 1.
A year earlier, 1971. Yeah.
71. Oh, shoot. Yeah, we're in 2022.
We're in 22.
Now,
I know, right? 22 on your checks.
It hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah.
Checks.
Well, become a journalist. You have to know this, or you get in big trouble.
You do.
51. You're right. Sorry.
That's all right. I want to think. This is off the top of my head. The Romans, episode 3 aired in 1965. I thought this one was delayed by football or something, by an hour. I know there's a Romans episode that was delayed by several minutes. Either for that or is it Winston Churchill's funeral or something? It might have been that. It might have been that actually. I think it was Winston Churchill's funeral because I saw someone quote tweeting something that happened today on BBC News where they brought in some actor, not Ian McNeice, playing Winston Churchill, and the two presenters interacting with him. Anyway, it's very weird. What a weird time we live in. The big, of course, the big thing that happened, non-Doctor Who related, potentially, January 30th, 1969. The rooftop concert, the Beatles' last ever public performance, happened this day in history as we record this. The reason I bring it up is that the very next day, that was the penultimate day of filming for the documentary, which of course eventually finally became Get Back, which we saw on Disney Plus in November. They then went into the studio and filmed the last few performances, like Paul McCartney doing Long and Winding Road and all that stuff, at the exact same time. Same time that the Beatles were shooting their last bit of film for Get Back, Let It Be, the BBC was wiping several master tapes of 60s Doctor Who. The Edge of Destruction Part 2, The Keys of Marinus Part 2, 3 episodes of The Sensorites, all of Planet of Giants, a whole host of BBC master tapes were wiped.
These events are unrelated.
Are they?
Or are they?
Shocking. January 31st, 1969. 2 events happened at the exact same time. When you're watching Get Back and you see Paul McCartney on the piano, they're singing to camera. Just imagine there's a videotape being wiped at that point.
He's thinking, yes, my operatives are at work destroying this distraction from our great work.
Yeah.
As he cackles internally. You gotta turn on the special subtitles that only I get in my head, but it's there.
you have your own special subtitle there, I think, and it's not Neil Perryman.
I sure do.
So,
I sure do.
3 Doctor Who stories, though, premiered on January 31st. 1970, Doctor Who and the Silurians started.
Excuse me, it's Doctor Who on screen. Never mind.
That's what I said, yeah.
I know that. I'm just pointing out the silliness of the whole venture.
I know. Tragicalhistorytour.com says the Silurians, but we know the real name is Doctor Who and the Silurians. I remember that because I don't know about you two chaps, but when I was introduced to the John Pertwee era, I saw Spearhead from Space. It was in color. It was on film. I thought, wow, Doctor Who in the early 70s was amazing. And then black and white. It looks like it's multicam again. What just happened?
Back to it.
Yeah.
Grainy black and white. Not the best black and white either.
No.
So.
I remember the Target novelizations having illustrations.
It did, didn't it?
The cave monsters.
Yeah, they did.
And I've said this before, but the fact that it was transferred to film so it looked like it was on film even though it was videotape,
right,
for whatever reason, put me off at a distance. And until they vid-fired, essentially, the earlier stuff, it's just that much easier to watch when it's on tape. Like, I don't know why, it just is.
You can't get I mean, it wasn't a stylish decision. I mean, the fact that
no, it was what they had, right?
Yeah, so, for overseas sales. It's the only reason we have a large chunk of the John Pertwee popular, and indeed anything from the 1960s, is because of overseas sales. It's weird, though, isn't it? Like, you'd think that film would look better, but it doesn't, because it's shot for video, and you can tell it's shot for video.
Evil of the Daleks, which I watched mostly animated, but there's one episode that isn't, and they vid-fired that, and you just kind of fall into it. Go, oh yeah, this is old Doctor Who because it's on tape. It's also a sign of my own age and the fact that I rail against anything looking like film for Red Dwarf, which is my own private battle that nobody cares about, but except maybe you, Stephen.
I care about it. Yeah, I see it. 1976, The Seeds of Doom premiered, episode 1. January 31st. Mm-hmm. Wow, eh?
A fine bit of loveliness.
That's some goodness. I've never seen Tom Baker angrier as Doctor Who as season 13, specifically the post Terror of the Zygons, but especially
not even in the studio footage, because I'm pretty sure he's angry there.
On screen, he's the angriest Doctor I think I've ever seen. He's just like almost dismissive and like, you know, Scorby and just pod, and he's great. He's so great.
No touch pod.
Could be dangerous. Yeah.
Doesn't Colin Baker kind of take him to the cleaners for that?
That's
he
more.
Just bark. He just yells and barks.
Yeah, I think
Baker had the passion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Tom Baker had the passion, and Colin Baker didn't.
The quiet danger, as Robert Shearman calls it in Running Through Corridors, is what. And there's definitely a danger to his performance in The Seeds of Doom, episode 1 especially. Keeper of Chalkin premiered January 31st, 1981. I think Nyssa was in that. Nyssa was there from episode 1, I think, wasn't she? Yeah, as I recall. Anyway.
Probably.
I don't remember. Probably. Sure. I'm betting you're right.
Yeah, because we grew up with omnibus versions, so we're not 100% sure what happened in each episode. February 1st, monumental day in history. Episode 2 of The Ark in Space aired February 1st, 1975. Because of the word of mouth that was going around from episode 1 and how amazing it was and how amazing Tom Baker was, maybe just from the Homo sapiens speech, I don't know. I think over 12 million people watched Ark in Space Part 2, finished fifth that week on the BBC, the highest it ever got in the classic series, the highest it would ever get until 2007, Voyage of the Damned. Happened 2 days before I was born. That was the last episode to air before I entered this world. So, in honor of, I was supposed to be born on February 9th. That was my due date. And they said, you know what? The highest ranking episode of Doctor Who just aired. You should probably get going now. And so I did. So
13.6 is what it hit.
That is shocking. That is amazing, man. I think that was the highest.
Different time.
Way different time. I know. The last episode of the Daleks aired in 1964 with the rescue finally coming to an end. Dalek, the first bit of Dalek Mania sort of happened there. That was pretty cool. Chris's favorite, Kinda, premiered in 1982. You don't like Kinda at all? No?
So Ark in Space Part 2. Sorry, I was looking at the ratings here. So Ark in Space Part 2
stats.
Was the 6th highest classic series episode. The
6th highest. Rating wise, right.
For ratings.
What about Strike though? It's got to be.
Well, it's beaten by 3 episodes of City of Death and 2 episodes of Destiny of the Daleks. So
there we are. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's mostly, if not all, ITV Strike.
It's all ITV Strike stuff. So
in the 70s.
What a time.
And then the Web Planet. 13.5 million.
I know! 13.5 million turned into the Web Planet.
Well, what else did you have to watch, really?
Well,
come on. Outside, that's what you had to watch.
Churchill's funeral, yeah.
And then Voyage of the Damned to the Next Doctor. Voyage of the Damned to the Next Doctor charted at number 2.
Yep. And then Journeys
for each of them, and then number 5 for Ark in Space.
I don't approve of this informal stats session going on here.
Yeah, I'm a little.
Just to go to show how weird and muddied things were for season 17. So City of Death Part 2,
right,
4th best for Doctor Who, 14.1 million. Chart position 44.
Oh my God! Right. Just I don't know what the ratings were. Imagine what was the number 1 that week in October '79. Probably finished 45 million viewers or something like that. It was probably Only Fools and Horses. Maybe that's why it's not at the pub. Wow, 45 million people watching.
Bay City Rollers, Ritual Sacrifice, on air.
Ark in Space stats. Sorry about the stats there. I was not expecting that, Warren. What else happened?
Here we are, though.
In this, we found the 2nd of February saw a whole bunch of stories. Mark of the Ronnie. Love Mark of the Ronnie. That premiered in 1985.
I do enjoy it. Don't watch it enough, but really haven't in a long time.
Yeah, I don't.
No.
Well,
not one of the ones I'm going to be looking forward to in the season 22 Blu-ray.
I think it's my favorite.
That I think I forgot to put back into the news list.
A sick part of me wants to watch Twin Dilemma again. I don't know why.
Okay.
I haven't seen Twin Dilemma in so long.
Oh,
that's probably why, because I haven't seen it so long. I've forgotten how bad it is.
When you forget that it followed possibly the greatest Doctor Who story ever made, and was launching an era and was the last Doctor Who that anyone saw for 9 months. It's terrible, but it's
okay. So I just like to point out, for all my ranting and raving about David Tennant being the Doctor, blah blah blah,
right,
they have made worse decisions, and that was one of them. Starting a new era by having the last episode of the old era. What the hell were you thinking? And it being terrible.
I recall hearing from British people who watched back in 1984 how disappointing or how terrible it was to have this grouchy, bitchy, yelling at Perry, Colin Baker
Strangling
Doctor as your only impression of the Doctor for those 9 or whatever months until Attack of the Cybermen aired.
Yeah. We'll get to Twin Dilemma in March when its anniversary comes up. But it is Doctor Who at its most smug and self-assured, when really it shouldn't have been, because the wheels were turning behind the scenes about canceling it altogether. And here we think, we've got the confidence enough to just make our Doctor awful person. And I bet you're going to have to turn in 9 months' time to see if he is actually a person you want to watch. Thinking, my God, why would you do that?
They followed up with Attack of the Cybermen, which I love, but is that a good follow-up? Probably not.
Probably not. The Margin Undead, episodes 1 and 2, premiered February 1st and 2nd, 1983. So the birth of Turlough, the birth of Ibbotson, the return of the Brigadier to Doctor Who, the wonderful music from Paddy Kingsland as they steal the Brigadier's car. And that happened. That happened 39 years ago. It's happened. Margin Undead.
I knew nothing of British public / really private schools, and so this was all I had to go off of for a long time. Unless I watched Grange Hill.
I never watched Grange Hill. Love the theme song, but what else? What else floats your boat here for the rest of the week here, chaps? Anything?
Web of Fear, episode 1.
Episode 1, February 3rd, 1968. The one episode that we had, the only episode of the Web of Fear that we had for decades, was that one. The one that I'm tired of watching now.
We had the invasion
Bring it back. I don't care anymore.
Web of Fear Special Edition coming out this upcoming week in North America.
That's true. Although for some people, I saw Graham Burke tweet that he already got it. So yeah.
But Invasion of Time, episode 1. So we have the
spaceship
wrap
shot.
up of season 15 beginning.
Yeah, and the Doctor being really weird and conspiratorial, and that was. I remember as a kid.
Point of order here: are we looking back or forward? Like, because I'm looking at the 29th when Robots of Death 1 came out, and that's pretty amazing. But are we looking at the next week? I'm confused here.
Oh, we're looking at the week to come here, like this week, the first week of February. Yeah, that's how we're looking at it. That's what we do in the Timelash. We look forward and back.
I get it mixed up.
And one that I really wish did exist, and maybe it's in the Middle East, and we'll get it back. Episode 1 of The Massacre.
My God. Yeah, War of God.
That's one of the. I've watched, I'd say, more recons than I haven't watched, but that's a very compelling story that I would love to see intact.
Anything. I'd love to see anything. I'd love to see an 8mm home video of the massacre. Nothing exists.
Of course you would.
It's
of
one
course
of
you would.
Mission to the Unknown, Marco Polo, and that are the only 3 stories that have no moving footage at all. And there's not even like any telesnaps for this one. So like, it's a mystery.
Okay, the missing episodes have trained you to take anything they give you and be happy, including the 14th Doctor being David Tennant.
Yeah, it would be.
Give me an 8-track with audio from the massacre, and I'm pleased as punch, Mr. Patsy.
Can I also point out that even though I wasn't that aware of Doctor Who at the time, I think I'd started watching it but wasn't watching it regularly. But Frontios Part 4 aired on February 3rd, 1984. At that exact day was the day of my first ever NHL game. I went to go see the Oilers play. It happened after Wayne Gretzky had his record 51-game point streak broken the game before. He was playing hurt, and so he did not play that game. I was unable to see Wayne Gretzky play in my first NHL game. Neither was Mark Messier or Paul Coffey. Basically, 3 Hall of Famers not in the lineup. They played Calgary that night. The Oilers won 10-5. Pat Hughes, a little lone third liner, scored 5 goals in that game.
Wait a minute, stats and hockey? What the hell is this?
I know. It's a memorable moment.
And hockey stats.
And hockey stats in there too. So that happened, 84. Little did I know. Little did my little 9-year-old brain realize that, you know what? A pretty serviceable Peter Davison story was wrapping up, but you don't know anything about it. So...
I don't know about serviceable.
I was thinking, like, I was going to say crap. It's not... What is Front? Is it serviceable? Is it?
It's plodding. Not, that's what it is. It's not terrible. I mean, it certainly ain't good.
No.
In a season where you've also got Warriors of the Deep, I mean...
yeah, but because a couple bangers in there, too. I don't think it can be
considered the worst of this run.
No.
Also, I mean, and the aforementioned Twin Dilemmas.
Twin Dilemmas in there,
well,
too.
So.
Technically, yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
It's really killing time. Frontios in between... You know, the middle, and Resurrection comes right after that, and so that's what I know it best as, you know?
It feels like watching like a public affairs show, somehow. I don't know why. The same sort of level of just like dreariness to it.
There is a dreariness to it. Same music. I never liked Patty Kiglin's score for that. It's just the same pan flute nonsense all the time. Listen, if I'm going to listen to pan flute, it's either going to be Zamfir or Enigma. I don't need to hear it in Doctor Who.
Also, and this is not fair because there have been plenty of crap monsters in Doctor Who's day, but the Tractators are pretty terrible.
They're pretty awful. It is silly to look back and go,
I mean, they're complicated, but they're just silly looking.
Well, they're wanted to be complicated, but they just had to be like these fiberglass, like they're supposed to roll up. They're supposed to like roll around. And I'm thinking, Bidmead,
it's kind of a cool idea, but it just doesn't work. So,
Bidmead, you've written this show, but you know what people could pull off with Doctor Who.
And this is not it. For Crimini's sake.
And Frontios is supposed to be this destroyed planet that just is really depressing to be in. And on top of that, it's a destroyed planet on a studio. So it just feels like a studio-bound, depressing place to be. So it's really claustrophobic.
I know. Even as a kid, I maybe, honestly, Warren, this and Chris, I mostly gripe about old Star Trek to Warren, though, mostly because it annoys him. But I think for some reason, even as a kid, studio-bound planets felt like cheap and dumb to me. So that transferred across from Star Trek, which most of the planets were, let's face it.
Of course,
and whenever Doctor Who did it, it was like, oh, they're not in a quarry. Come on. Should be in a quarry for this.
I mean, that's where things like Planet of Evil have a bit of a respite from the film work but still, all the video stuff is.
You can do studio-bound stuff well. I don't know if Star Trek did, but you can. Nope. And you can Doctor Who for sure. And this kind of wasn't. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Mean, I will say this. At least there's dirt on the floor. It's not like paint, it's not like dead leaves spread across a gray studio floor like it was in Kinda. Like, at least it was a proper, full dirt set in front.
I just remember Plantagenet being irritating, too. So that's another strike against it.
He was in Drop the Dead Donkey later on. And Jeff Rawl, he was in Sarah Jane Adventures, too. In the episode with Mona Lisa, which starred
it's not
Saran
him, it's
Jones.
the character.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, is that it? Is that all you got? Anything else in the...
Let's end it on a down note.
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Good. For more on Frontia, see our crispy mead miniscope from whatever year that was.
Oh, that's right.
Robots of Death episode 2, the Studio 54 mining convoy rolls on.
Yeah, it does. Chris, you mentioned during that, but yes, the pre-orders for the season 22 box set, aka Colin Licker season 1, in North America is now on Amazon. Not in the BBC shop yet, but it is on Amazon, and I pre-ordered that.
No date listed though.
No, but it should be June. Slated for June, according to the BBC Studios source that I emailed. April 19th for season 17, which I ordered as well, and season 22 sometime in June. So that's for North America, which probably means UK will probably get in April or maybe May or March, possibly. We'll see. But yay, Doctor Who box sets. 2 of them coming along in relatively short succession. I look forward to that.
One of these days I should crack the plastic on 24.
Oh, what? What is wrong with you?
I know.
I love how exactly. Chris gets utterly indignant about the shipping of these things, and then just never touches it. It's like, I need it on my shelf and nothing more.
They're sitting on a different shelf of stuff I've yet to watch. But yeah.
Hey, I just ranted profusely about a show bringing back an actor I like. So what the hell? I can't really fault you on this.
It's true. Coming soon, May 1st from Tellus Publishing, the John Nathan Turner Production Diary. It's a new book by Richard Molesworth. Basically, a day-by-day chronicling of the production of Doctor Who. This stuff here, this kind of stuff, that's right up my alley. Of course books like these are why I don't watch other TV shows or read anything else about.
Or I was gonna say, or the only reason you read.
Yeah, it is, honestly. Like, I like, oh, this is a great book. You should, that's fiction, right? No. Well, here, how about this? How about a day-to-day production diary of 1980s Doctor Who? Yes, please. I will take that, and I will read it. You've actually
snatched it out of their hands without even telling them. Like, where'd it go?
Yeah, I don't care. Just give it to me. Give it to me straight. I will take it. So, yeah, May 1st. I'm looking forward to that one. Very much. 432 pages of this stuff. This is basically, essentially, when you look at it, is like basically live studio footage in book form. And
my God.
All over that.
You have a real problem, Stephen.
And given it starts in 1979, maybe you can read more about stuff like season 17 and the ITV impact and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, he took over in 79 because they had finished production with Shada in October of 79, by which I mean abandoned production, and that was it. And so he immediately took over after that. So he had ideas.
If nothing else, as evidenced by his work with Wiped, Richard Molesworth is definitely a person who does his homework.
Yeah, when it comes to, they did a Robert Holmes book too that we talked about on this very podcast years ago. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to it very much. May 1st, you can pre-order it from Telos Publishing. That's David J. Howe's outfit, don't you know? The links are in the website, known as radiofreeskaro.com. The scripts, the BBC Writers' Room has updated their page to include scripts from Doctor Who, Flux, and Eve of the Daleks. I'm going to download certainly the one for War of the Sontarans so that I can use it as reference potentially for my live commentary with Jonathan Watson at Gallifrey One. Yeah, research and all that. So
totally.
Yeah, so that's fun. Download them there.
It came in handy with our Rachel Towley commentary for the Series 9.
Because they weren't
Heaven
like
Sent Hellbent.
They weren't like the straight like I haven't downloaded I've downloaded them, but I haven't read them yet. Like compared them side by side with what we saw, but the one for Heaven Sent,
which ones were production versus final drafts?
Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see if there's any changes in these and stuff. But yeah, it's quite fascinating. I have a draft one script from lie of the land that is vastly different to what aired on screen. So, but I don't think that's on the website. What else we got here? Hey, there's a Doctor Who game. There's a Doctor Who game, mobile game coming from
this year
from a Vancouver. Warren, you're from Vancouver.
I sure am.
Yeah.
So Eastside Games is a mere 15-minute walk from me in lovely Gastown, and basically they do a bunch of licensed title, like they do Trailer Park Boys, a lot of Canadian stuff, Goldberg's, Archer, and it's all mobile games. It's what's known as idle games, which is basically a grind game, which all these are a bunch of words I'm throwing around. Basically, if you're playing something like World of Warcraft and you run off to get 10 beaver pelts and then take them back to the wizard or whatever, that's kind of the essence of these kind of games where you just do a task and do a lot of hitting of buttons. And it's, it's the sort of thing you're playing while you're waiting in the grocery store line or that kind of thing. It's like you pick it up, screw around with it for 10 minutes, put it back down again. So this will be that, but in Doctor Who form. So presumably the Doctor needs more Artron energy. Help him or her get the Artron energy by clicking away at this button. So that's based on nothing other than my guesses from the other games they do. So, but I know a couple people who work there and they're lovely people. So hopefully it's a good game.
Interesting. That's cool when Doctor Who's stuff happens within 15 minutes of where you live. That's neat.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only other time is a TV movie, as far as I know.
And you weren't even.
And I didn't live here at the time. So oh well.
Yeah. Well, cool. That's awesome. We'll keep our eye on that. Plans to come out for iOS and Android in 2022, which that's this year. We're already a month into it.
Enough.
As we learned a short time ago. Yeah.
Yes. Chris has still got
at least some of us learned.
Yeah, Chris has already got these post-dated checks, and they all have 2020. You got to rip them up and start again.
Those would be predated checks.
Predated checks. Yeah.
Expired at the point if they're 2020.
I think you'll find I paid these 2 years ago. Wink, wink.
Yeah. The March 8th, of course, is International Women's Day, and Big Finish is once again celebrating that with a collection of stories called The Protectors of Time. 4 different stories written by 4 women authors for Big Finish, including our good friend Liz Miles, who has written Stolen Futures, which features Romana and K9, who've stayed in E-Space to help ancient and noble people free from their shackles. So Therals and K9 and Romana in audio form. So
Upright Lions. Yeah.
Upright Lions, March 8th, of course, the 8th of March, Protectors of Time. You can pre-order it right now. I said 4 stories, there's actually 3, but so.
Yeah, close enough, right?
Yep, exactly. And then some sad news, also some late-breaking non-Doctor Who related sad news. At the age of 81, Howard Hessman, alas, has passed away. I just saw come by on Twitter.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Johnny Fever himself.
Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP, one of the great comedies of the 1970s and 80s, and a hilarious cameo, and this is Spinal Tap as well.
Yes, indeed. He is very funny in that.
That made me sad.
Don't forget Head of the Class. Sucks. He was quite good in Head of the Class.
Head of the Class
I'd rather forget Head of the Class. Yeah. He might have been...
Head of the Class introduced me to... why did I just drop
Screech.
His name?
Dustin Diamond.
Billy Connolly.
Yeah, he took over from him. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I knew him from too. So yeah, Dr. Johnny Fever. What a character. I mean, like, and what a great guy. But man alive, Howard Hessman. So very sad news. Also, Spencer Chapman, who was designer of Dalek Invasion of Earth, has passed away as well. He was all over the DVD for that. He also worked on the Space Museum too. So that's sad. I'm very sad when people from the 1960s who worked on Doctor Who sadly leave us, because they are our only tangible connection to a very important time in Doctor Who history. So R.I.P. Spencer Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, speaking of Daleks, it's time to tip back once again to our Doctor Who Classic Series commentary for Remembrance of the Daleks, Part 3.
Condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back to the commentary, the Classic Series commentary of the podcast here, or perhaps if you're listening to this on Patreon months before, maybe, or weeks or days before this goes out in the main feed. This is the whole. Maybe it'll be all years. Maybe, but we're doing this in mid-August. We're recording this in mid-August, folks. If this goes out on the main feed, probably after Series 13 has aired, we have no idea what's going on. No idea. Mm-hmm. It's quite exciting, not knowing the future. But really, isn't that all of 2020? Wasn't that just 2020, not knowing the future?
We were completely unaware that Yaz and the Doctor ended up being the same person.
I didn't know. And also, Yaz happened to be 80s British pop group Yaz as well. That was amazing. What a turnaround.
Mm-hmm. And John Bishop, an actual bishop. Who knew?
I didn't know. Oh. But we don't know this yet, so that's going to be fascinating. What we do know, though, is that we're about to watch Remembrance of the Daleks Part 3 from Doctor Who's penultimate season in the classic era, season 25. So I hope you have your Laserdisc edited copies.
Your edit droid.
We're just going to refer to past formats that we mentioned on previous episodes of the commentary for the rest of this. I hope you two have another one chambered so I can use it for part 4. That's good. Here we go. Part 3, Remembrance of the Daleks in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay, so now I'm trying to remember if this is one of the ones that came out on Laserdisc.
No,
6 releases or something.
There was 5 Doctors. Obviously, had to be one of them.
I know Day of the Daleks was one.
Day of the Daleks. Not that I ever saw any of them. Nor had a Laserdisc player. Nor saw a Laserdisc player. Nor saw a Laserdisc.
There were a few more. There were 7.
Where are you counting here?
Day of the Daleks, Ark in Space, Revenge of the Cybermen, Terror of the Zygons, Brain of Morbius, 5 Doctors, and the TV movie.
And I bet a TV movie came on a Laserdisc?
Yep.
That's 96. I didn't realize that was a thing still.
Only in Hong Kong.
Oh, barely
though.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Only in Hong Kong.
Is this a legitimate release or is this just
okay, all
right.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted illegitimate releases, and I refer back to my copy of the Phantom Menace that I got before it came out here.
Right.
VCD was the way to go. Good old VCD. That was also that was an Asian format.
And for some reason, it was like Jar Jar was just like a guy in a green suit with a couple of eyeballs stuck to his head because they haven't done the visual effects for it.
It was legit, the movie. It came out before it came out on video.
Okay.
The movie itself.
Like Ahmed Best running around with a hat on his head. Like, I'm Jar Jar.
I remember, did they come out before? Because I remember watching the Phantom Menace VCD with the lovely Thai subtitles.
Yes, which I'm sure you got from me, or maybe you didn't, But I do remember I used to play it in the TV station we worked, Stephen, at full volume before it ever came out with the Thai subtitles, and only a button or two would have put that bad boy on the air, and thankfully it never happened. And I'd just like to point out that my boss, who later fired me, also had a copy of said illegal. Wow. And I was perfectly prepared to say, you know what? Anybody who wants to know he has a copy of this can be told. There you go. 20-year-old labor relations stories.
Yeah.
I have very distinct memories of specifically The Matrix and American Pie, seeing those, having those as VCD copies before theatrical release. And Blair Witch as well.
I have to think that the...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to... Back to the Doctor Who Laserdisc. I have to think that the... those, like, especially like the classic ones, maybe not the 5 Doctors, were probably like 60-minute edited down ones, I bet. Like omnibus versions.
You would be wrong.
Really? Oh, wow.
You would. Day of the Daleks, there were 2 versions. There's the 4x25 UK and an 89-minute US movie compilation.
Oh, interesting.
Everything else was all actual proper runtime.
I'm impressed.
I'd also like to point out, as an addendum, I later got my job back and then quit on my own volition. And Stephen recited the first Doctor's famous lines about one day you'll shoot back. Till then, no tears, no anxieties. Go forward in all your beliefs and prove me I'm not mistaken in mine, which was lovely. And also, when I was in Thailand, I found the 3 original trilogy movies unaltered off of Laserdisc onto a DVD. So I brought them home, and I thought I was the baddest of badasses for smuggling in 3 Thai original trilogy unaltered DVDs, which I have no idea where they are now.
Oh, those are like missing episodes now. You should hang on to those. I mean,
well, I should have, but I didn't. So.
Go down to the cellar.
Apparently, there were also UMD disc releases.
Those are for the
PlayStation Portable.
Portable, yeah. Not the Vita. I was going to say the Vita, but it was portable.
Yeah.
Unorchestral Movements in the Dark, UMD.
Series 1 and 3 episodes of Series 4. That's it. But That's what came out on UMD back in the day.
They were roundly mocked by the gaming community.
UMD, was it like
PSP?
a non-fungible token for PlayStation? Like, what is that?
It was an actual, it was like basically, it was a very small DVD for your PlayStation.
Universal Media Disc is what it stood for.
Wow. And now I can stream Netflix on my Switch. And how many times have I done that? Approximately 0.
Yes.
Oh, it's a good set. Here's a good set.
Yeah, and the camera. It just goes around.
Because cameras are smaller now in 1988. You can do this, you know.
This reminds me of Parting the Ways a little bit.
A little bit. I like the Amiga outfit on the camera there. You know what? One thing I don't actually know is when they shoot in OB video, are they shooting at single camera or are they actually like vision? Because I remember when I watched the making of Silver Nemesis.
Point, probably single cam.
Maybe, yeah, probably. But I mean, the reason they do videotape on location is so they can save time and money and not have to shoot everything from one angle and everything. Maybe, you know, you save on film too. But I know that
weren't they basically using like a sports van?
Kind of, yeah.
Like, that's basically what it is.
But I remember like watching. They were shooting a scene outside with Lady Painfort and Gerald Murphy, the late Gerald Murphy, and Chris Clough is actually saying, "I'm not vision mixing here." And so like he wasn't switching between, but I think maybe they recorded everything onto like they basically recorded all the signals and edited them later on. I think it might have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can have multiple cameras and shoot at the same time, and it's like it's basically the same as
just
film.
It is. I mean,
dump all the files into your project folder on Final Cut Pro.
But here's one camera right here, obviously. But I'm thinking like this has got to be single cam because we're probably going to cut to him looking around. Come on, do something. There we go. That's obviously a different shot. Here's a different shot here. Like these are all, you know, lined up individually.
That would make more sense to set up one by one.
Yeah, those are not. That's not a multicam sequence that we just saw. But now
that almost looked like it was CSO.
Yeah, now that we're back in studio, this 100% is. Even though I think we're mostly just on one camera for the duration of this, but anyway, I'm fascinated.
It's a nice
by
shot, though, panning across all the different faces and stuff.
I am a big fan of how they made. I'm not saying that TV was better back in the 1980s, was multicam, but I am appreciative of the art of how they did it. I think
a little part of you is saying that it's better in the 80s.
A little bit. Sorry to be about 10%.
That does look like Hendrix badge.
I think this is multicam. That was definitely cutting back and forth, I think. Between the two.
Well, you'd have to layer that effect on top of it analog anyway, so why not?
You know, because they still they didn't have any more time to make a Doctor Who episode. Like they were basically, here's your 3 or 4 days on location, here's your like one studio block. Like not a lot actually changed in 20 years when making Doctor Who.
Now, is the Hand of Omega from the Omega Arsenal?
What? What's the Omega Arsenal?
That's in Day of the Doctor, my friend. We've used all the weapons.
Oh, goodness. I thought you meant something from before this, probably.
Oh, where the moment was stored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they'd used everything else there, and you would think the Hand of Omega, a.k.a. Thanos' glove, is tying it all together.
Thanos' glove. So you're saying that Marvel stole from Doctor Who, is that what you're saying?
Impossible. Marvel published Doctor Who.
Thanos was... Oh, yeah, I don't think that works quite that way. Marvel reprinted Doctor Who, but yeah. I have all of the Dave Gibbons stuff in a giant hardcover, and it's quite nice.
Really? Oh.
Yes, I do. And I have the original comics kicking around somewhere, too. Original DWM reprints by Marvel.
Yeah, I used to have more of those, but I don't. I suppose I have all the DWM, so I don't need them, but...
I've got the entire Marvel run, which is sounds more impressive than it is, because it's about 20 comics.
Yeah.
And a copy of Sledgehammer, the comic. God only knows why.
Based on the hit TV show.
Based on the TV show, yes.
Yeah. Here's Roy Tromley.
I did not suss out that this was Davros. Spoilers.
I don't think...
He popped out.
Until he popped out, yeah.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
You bought what they were selling, which is fine. You're supposed to.
Yeah, but contrast that with not figuring out who John Sim is. When he's disguised and confronting Missy. And I didn't until...
It's kind of funny,
the
though.
Trailer.
Despite the trailer, yes.
Because the Daleks call him Emperor Dalek, the Emperor's on the bridge and stuff. Yeah. And like, is Davros like, has he been hiding in there the whole time? It's just like, they must not know that I am Davros. I am the Emperor, so he's just been hiding out in his little disguise this whole time, or what?
By the same token, at this point, would generic Daleks have any idea who Davros is? I mean, he'd be this, potentially anyway, be this like mythical figure that you could, philosophically debate whether or not they ever existed.
Well,
I don't know.
The last thing Daleks do is philosophically debate.
Or maybe they know.
They're having a civil war, so technically,
I
guess, you're right.
I think they probably know, but he's probably like, listen, guys, you call me the Emperor. I'm the Emperor, all right? I wear this because I'm the Emperor. Basically, him a disguise is for the viewer's purpose only. That's the only reason why he's hiding until
Here's what a dork I am.
All right.
When I first saw this, I only had the celebration to go off of, so I'm like, well, that's not what the Emperor Dalek looks like. I know what the Emperor Dalek looks like. He's tall.
From Evil
and
of the Daleks.
And he has cables coming off him. Yeah. I'm smart. I'm a teenage boy who knows things.
I've seen a picture. Jeremy Bentham wrote a thing about
book,
him.
So there.
They obviously had the same poor sign maker build the Ratcliffe Building Merchant sign as they did the I Am From. It's the exact same font, exact same size. Wonder if they misspelled.
Well, they were
Ratcliffe.
running low on fonts. It was World War II wasn't that far off.
That's true, actually.
Fonts.
Yeah,
there was a font shortage. You can only use three per week.
Am I right in thinking that Nazis actually popularized the sans serif font? Is that inaccurate to say? I
do not know anything.
I remember reading that somewhere. I remember
want to find out either.
Like the future or the impact. Like basically the Germans in the 1930s like really pushed it forward. I guess so. It's a simpler font to get their message across. I believe. I need to do more research on that. But.
The message of evil and hate.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank God we had this font to clarify all that.
Yeah, think about that next time you say, you know what, I want a font that's less serify. Well, squatties. Here comes the exposition dump. We're only in episode 3 and we're getting a big giant exposition dump. I was expecting this to come in 4. What is she? I always wonder what Ace is doing there, what Sophie Aldred's doing with her foot. Did she her shoe come undone or something or what? I don't know. Always wondered.
It is one of life's great mysteries.
It is. It really is.
That jacket is a paradox. It's a time travel crime in progress.
Oh, I know. Like if a single
stuff on the side.
If a single badge of that fell off in whatever period of history they're in, it's like, oh, what's this?
Just have to look at it.
Those. That's Sophie Aldred's own Blue Peter badge on there. Because they don't hand those out willy-nilly. You got to earn them.
Well, I guess back in the day, Blue Peter producers, I don't know if what's her name, or who it was, but challenged the Doctor Who show to say, hey, why is she wearing Blue Peter badges? And then they said, well, she won them, both of them.
She won them, yeah. You get a badge when you get your first confirmed kill. That is how you get your Blue Peter badge.
I don't know why I necessarily looked it up, but... So
I do.
Futura, for example, came out in 1927, and it was used in Nazi documentation. Yeah.
Bam.
Great. Wonderful.
Guess
also,
what?
He says here. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the font chosen for the titles from certainly season 11 through season 13, and maybe even all the Pertwee, was Futura. So just saying it right there. Philip Hinchcliffe is a
people who
Nazi.
drive in Volkswagen, hippies in Volkswagen vans.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler to thank for that. Anyway.
Does her badge say Bell Atlantic?
It does say Bell. I just noticed that too for the first time. Is that Canadian?
I don't
probably,
think so.
Yeah.
Is that an actual reference?
Bell's an American, or was an American phone company.
Well, it started in Canada.
Yeah. Alexander Graham Bell.
But anyway, that's a proper looking Dalek.
Yeah, Black Dalek.
Bell Atlantic was American, yeah.
Okay.
Now owned by Verizon, apparently.
Yeah, I'm sure that high rise in the background was totally there in 1963. Do not look too closely; you'll just other blase.
Anyway, he says, "Didn't we have trouble with the prototype?" And then she goes, "He and they." He's referring to pre-Hartnell doctors.
That's the one, Joe Martin.
There it is.
I think the implication or the inference is that he's referring to himself.
Yes.
Well, I know that, but you can still be referring to pre-Hartnell doctors.
But at this point, especially with the casket of the whole old geezer with white hair, I would say it's probably the Hartnell doctor that is being referred to. I always read it as that anyway.
Why do you have to ruin my retconning fun?
Having not seen...
Because there's limits to retcon versus headcanon versus whatever.
Having not seen an earthly child until 2 years after that? More than 2 years. I had no idea what the connections were to the first. None of that actually chimed in with me.
Yeah, I probably would have seen it after this as well.
That went all over my head. Yeah. What is he talking about? Who's this? Why are they... What? It's the... One does have to wonder. Has she been dressed like that the whole time? And he hasn't just sort of walked around and going, you're dressed like a 12-year-old girl. I don't understand this at all.
Got quite the O face there, yeah.
Please shower, child.
Yeah. Obviously he doesn't see her come in and out either. I'm going to go skip around and then I'm going to pop in here and sit in my Dalek chair. And you never noticed. You idiot.
Okay, so I want opinions here. The white Daleks or the black and the gray Daleks?
Oh, I love the white and gold. Love the white and gold. Yeah.
Especially when we get to the special weapons Dalek. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that, the special weapons Dalek. But I like these old school cats.
I mean, I appreciate them all, but I tell you, the white and gold as a color combo in Star Trek Insurrection, the dress outfits they wear at the very beginning of that are white with gold, and man, does it look good. And because of the Daleks, white and gold.
They also wear them in Nemesis, and that's the only good thing about Nemesis.
I have to watch Nemesis again to see how bad that is.
It's crap.
I like Nemesis.
It starts okay, and it goes downhill from there.
Will the villain survive? That's the big question going through that whole thing. Can the Enterprise outrun the villain just long enough for him to die of natural causes? The answer is almost yes.
Here's what I liked about it, that you actually got to see more of the Romulans than they normally do. But that's kind of it. It just kind of goes into Dullsville. Also, a bit of behind-the-scenes trivia. Apparently, the director, Stuart Baird, who edited Die Hard and was a well-known editor, was kind of a dick.
Awful.
And treated everybody poorly, including Saint and National Treasure LeVar Burton. And apparently LeVar Burton is one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet, and he came this close to clocking him because he kept deliberately mispronouncing his name or changing his name just to annoy him. And LeVar was not a man you could easily push into violence, but he had to be restrained, apparently.
I want to see, Michael Piller, the late Michael Piller wrote a great book about the gestation of Star Trek Insurrection and how much it changed from his original draft to it finally coming out as a motion picture. I would love to read a book about the making of Star Trek Nemesis because,
The thing about Insurrection, it's got the same, I don't want to say problem, but it's the same phenomenon as when you watch Doctor Who several years later and go, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just not anywhere near as good as First Contact because very few of the Star Trek movies are.
None.
But it's fine. It's not great or anything, but it's not terrible.
No, I watched it relatively recently and I actually quite enjoyed it. But.
Because for First Contact, you can never beat the presence of she who played Annie Edison. So
that's true. That's a good point. That was a very deep cut. I had to dig deep into the memory archives for that one.
Annie Edison. Nope.
From the Edison twins.
One of the, and I only found this out recently. Jeez. One of the people crawling around who gets Borged first is her from the Edison twins.
Wow, I did not know that. I thought you were talking about Alfred Woodward, but that's fine. Go with the Edison twins.
Oh, yeah, CanCon.
Yes.
CanCon.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was actually Canadian or American, but
I don't know either. Probably Canadian. Who but a Canadian would choose to be on the Edison twins?
She must have grown up here.
The Edison twins, for those people under the age of 50, was a children's show in Canada in the early 80s that I never watched.
It was basically a ripoff of 321 Contact. And,
sure.
Marnie McPhail was born in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, well, look at that.
So she was American. Is American.
Is that just a motorbike helmet with the Dalek stock on the end of it? It feels like it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And yet, these evil, horrific people mock the samurai helmets with the Dalek stocks in them.
It kind of reminds me of it.
Asking?
Oh, I love that one.
I will still absolutely mock the Dalek eye stalks coming out of foreheads, though.
That's a bit silly, isn't it? It is a bit silly. Have we done Resurrection of the Daleks as a commentary? These things were cool, but they were also just on the market just when they made this. But funnily enough, I think, a year or two after this was made, they feature in a Star Trek Next Generation episode as well. So,
and then they're in every science center you've ever been to. Since.
Oh, yeah.
So Andrew Sabiston, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who played the other Edison twin.
We're still on the Edison twins. All right.
Yeah, I'll leave it alone.
They're called the Edison twins.
Okay.
They are called the Edison twins. So whatever his Tom, there we go, which makes sense. Anyway, on Wikipedia it says known for the voice of Yoshi.
I did not know that.
So okay, there's my surprise for the evening.
Yoshi from
the video games.
Yeah.
Oh wow, from them Nintendo games.
Yeah, Super Mario World. Yep.
Yeah. There's a big drum solo music going on here, which is, when I think about it, I mean, I don't think Kath McCullough would have been actually skilled enough to do it, but I feel like a motion picture score that is kind of 1960s based. I suppose he kind of already did that with Delta, though, with the, although really, is it though? Because Kath McCullough.
You know my opinion on Kath McCullough.
I know. It just sounds very 80s when we're stuck in 1963. But I liked it at the time. Boy, did I like this music at the time. Such a huge awesome fan. Yep.
It's one of the few stories where the music registers very heavily for me.
Interesting. Wow. Maybe because you just watched it to death.
I have watched it more times than possibly any other Doctor story out there ever.
Mm. One of my main things that I noticed about Doctor Who is that, when I got the keyboard, thanks to Kath McCullough, and I was trying to find out how to play the Doctor Who theme. And I remember playing and going, why is my E on my keyboard just slightly different pitch than what's on the TV? And it took me forever to realize, of course, because it's in PAL. It's in PAL, and it's played at a slightly different speed. And so therefore, music is of a different key.
Not something that you would think of immediately.
No,
I wouldn't.
A
musician might, of course. Yeah.
Well, especially one with perfect pitch. As with
all those soldiers just went into the girls' entrance. Is that okay?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not at all. Actually, they should be hung, drawn, and quartered.
Well, that took a turn.
Yep, a little bit.
He's a gross. Dirty, stinking gross.
Use what gross done us. Which one of you is a gross? There you go. That's a Brian Pern reference there for you, Warren. I don't know if you remember that one, but
I don't really. But it sounds very.
He acts in several movies, and they basically cut to clips of him standing in front of blue screen in 3 different costumes in 3 different movies. He goes, which one of you is a gross?
Yes.
Makes me laugh.
My favorite is still Drop the Sonic Device.
Oh my God, The Life of Brian Pern. Search it out. That clip is not actually on the original series. It was something else with Peter Davison, and it makes me laugh to this day. Brian Pern. There's that crazy. You know what? Like those things are you probably buy those for $5 now. Those things, the plasma globes. But I never got
probably.
one. I never got
Sharper
one.
Image or something.
Yeah,
Sharper Image still exists.
I don't think so. San Francisco or
whatever. That doesn't exist.
Spencer Gifts is probably where you're looking at.
Is of that.
San Francisco, pretty sure sold those back in the day.
Oh, they have to have.
So, they were the Spencer's Gifts of their day. So.
Yes,
but the real money is in cheap earrings.
Cheap earrings.
And fundies.
Yes. All the naughty things, yes. Comedy boob glasses and stuff. Anyway. We're going to get another cliffhanger, folks. We're going to get one.
We are. We're going to get some windows blown out, too.
You know what the fascinating thing is that when you grow up for the most part, on omnibus versions, you miss all the various different little shots that do not feature in the reprise.
You could have just gone around it.
So this is why...
That was silly, wasn't it?
This is why Warren and I and others spent a small fortune on a bootleg copy. So we had the episodic.
Wow. So you didn't have... Oh, goodness. Because He looks straight at the camera. Like everyone says, oh, Tom Baker looks straight at the camera. McCoy looks and then blinks and then puts his head down again. That is Blade. That's not in the omnibus version because it's not in part 4.
See, because it wasn't a giant zoom at Echo on Baker. We just got to let it go.
I know.
Also, that's actually like, is that a forced perspective shot of the ship coming down, or
that
is
an actual shot?
It's a model.
That's an actual shot. Yeah, that's
model being lowered down
size.
by a crane. Yeah.
Yep.
That's either of those is impressive.
Yep. Aronovich rather famously was just expecting, like he even wrote in the script, probably use like a CSO or something, and he said, "What? You actually built the thing? Mm-hmm. What the hell's wrong with you?"
Yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. It doesn't when it in episode 4, as we're going to see, when they do the whole piracy bit and get in there and whatever, it does not look from the outside as big as it should look from the inside, but. Right. Who knows? Maybe it's dimensionally transcendental.
Hey, they had one in the chase. They had one in the chase. They, the science does, the technology does exist for Daleks to have dimensionally transcendental. I suppose so.
Yeah. They didn't do that in Death of the Daleks, so it was real size.
Making sense of this continuity is a mug's game, and the show knows that better than anybody.
That's true. All right, well, that's it for that episode, everyone. Hope you join us next time on our classic series commentary for Remembrance of the Daleks, Part 4 next time. Until then, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Morning, Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.